to another edition of Cohasset Comment. I'm Cohasset Town Manager Chris Sr., and on this week's episode, we'll hear Quinn Kelly interview Cohasset's Youth Baseball and Softball Association board member Vince Thornton about the great summer the Little League had, some of the great successes, and some of the challenges. We'll hear from Chief Robert Silvia about ways to stay safe and keep COVID at bay this fall. We'll take a look at what Elder Affairs is doing to keep our seniors who are staying at home well fed. And we'll hear from Nicole Balashi of Cohasset Safe Harbor about some of the great things going on with the Youth Ambassador Program. That and more on this week's edition of Cohasset Comment. So several months ago, at the beginning of this crisis, Chief Silvia and I talked about mask usage, and the Chief explained how to wear a mask and what to wear, and how not to wear a mask and why it was important. Well, now we're in September, and it's becoming even more critical to wear that mask whenever you're in public. Now that schools are reopened, now that people are going to be going back inside a lot more. Chief, tell me why is it so important?
So obviously we all wear a mask to protect each other, not just to protect yourself. And the thought process behind the mask is that in conjunction with social distancing, staying 6 feet away from each other, and washing our hands, and staying home when we don't feel well, those are the tools that we have to combat the virus at the present time. So mask is number one, and it really is the priority that everybody should wear their mask whenever they are in public, but especially if they're inside of any buildings.
Pretty low infection rate in Cohasset, actually in the state. That said, our goal is to keep it down. And people have been getting a little bit, I think, comfortable, right? Thinking, it's not as important as I wear the mask. In fact, it's probably even more important now, isn't it?
I believe so, that as the governor has stated numerous times, the problem now is that people that are familiar with each other are being too familiar with each other. So we can't at this point let our guard down. If we do, then we'll be making the same mistakes we made in the spring prior to some of the things that we've instituted. So we don't want to go backwards. So we ask people that the four pieces again are very simply: wear your mask, stay socially distanced, wash your hands, and if you don't feel well, stay home. Those are the things that you need to do. And of course, if you don't feel well and you do stay home, reach out to your primary care physician and get tested.
So again, just an important reminder that as we enter the fall, we're spending more time indoors. Schools are open. It's even more important now than ever when we're in public and we're mixing with folks. Again, keep the social distance, please. Wear the mask, wash your hands, and again, if you feel sick, stay at home. Thank you. Any parting words?
No, I just want to congratulate everybody in Cohasset because we have kept the infection rate down because we've tried to do the right things. And I know that quarantine fatigue, we all suffer from it. It has gotten to a point where during the summer, we may have created some bad habits because we've all been outdoors. Now that we're going to be moving back indoors, we need to get back into the really good habits that we've already mentioned.
Thank you, Chief. And thank you, Cohasset. Let's stay safe. Wear your mask. I'm here with Safe Harbor Executive Director Nicole Balashi. Nicole, how are things been going?
We have been very busy, as you can imagine. We are working on our Youth Ambassador Program. We're working on ground level. We're trying to get programs out there for all the kids and the parents. So things have been going well.
Now, I understand we have a little segment to the show. What are we gonna see?
So our youth ambassadors, we had 4 attend our CADCA mid-year this year, and they got all the information and they created a video to talk about community assessment and how to address problems in your immediate community.
Very exciting. Let's roll the tape.
Hi, we are youth ambassadors Evelyn, Liesel, and Maeve. This summer we entered the CADCA mid-year training event and we wanted to share what we learned.
A community assessment is how coalitions can engage their community members and begin to mobilize. The information that goes into a community assessment is first a community definition and description. You write the name of your community and you can draw a map of the surrounding areas. You can write down the characteristics that describe the community and identify specific substance abuse affecting the youth in the community. There's areas that you identify that need assessment and resource assessment, community history, and then you create a problem statement of what you've realized. So a problem statement should be one problem at a time. You should avoid blaming one person, avoid proposing solutions, and you define the problem in the terms of behavior or conditions. Make sure that your problem statement is measurable and it reflects the concerns of the community.
You can use your community assessment to find out the valuable information that helps you gain a greater understanding about the problems in your community. Once these are identified, the community and the coalition can work together to help solve the problems. A logic model is when you identify a problem, an example being underage drinking, and then find two root causes. For example, the availability of alcohol and favorable attitudes among parents. Then identify the local conditions that make these root causes possible. For example, if underage drinking in Cohasset is caused overwhelmingly by the favorable attitudes among parents, we can say that it is common that parents condone underage drinking. So how does the community assessment information help in creating the logic model? So being able to understand your community and the people in it, you can easily identify a problem and its root causes or local conditions that cause it. It is important for coalitions to do a community assessment before they begin to work on the problems facing their community. This creates a better understanding of the community, the people in it, and what problems they are facing. By making this map, identifying the common themes of where youth in the community may be partaking in activities such as underage drinking or smoking. By gathering this information, the members of a coalition can make a logic model to better understand the problem and therefore combat it.
One of the biggest challenges in the response to the COVID virus was the fact we had to close town hall to the public. Now, after a number of months in which we've done a lot of virtual services, everything online, we've been able to do things with the Dropbox, it's right out here in front of town hall, phone calls, emails, we're finally able to open town hall again to the public. There are new things you'll see when you come in, and in a minute we'll show you a video that'll explain how to go about your visit to the building if you want to come over. We're asking folks, whenever possible, to please make an appointment. You can go to the town hall website, you'll see the little place where you can click, and there's an appointment form. You can fill it out, explain where you want to go and what you want to do, and give some slots that work for you, and you'll get an email back with a time to come by and visit. If you're just in the neighborhood and you need to pay a bill, you can do that too. You may have to wait. We're also asking everyone that comes into the building to wear a mask. If you can't wear a mask, we'll find an alternative way to service you either outside or in another way. But for the safety of everyone in the building, we're going to require mask usage at all times. So thank you for observing that, and thank you for all your support during this crisis. We look forward to welcoming you back into the building. Take a look at the video.
Good morning, can I help you? Hi, I'm into the building inspector. Okay, I'm going to ask you to fill out this form, if you would please, and I'll see if he's available. If you're not interested in keeping the pen, if you could just throw it in the container, that would be great. I'm going to ask that you wash your hands with a wipe before you come in. And when you're done with the building inspector, did you want to see anyone else today?
I would like to see the treasurer collector.
Do you have an appointment with them?
I do not.
We'll see if they can see you at that time. If not, I'll help you make an appointment.
Now on Cohasset Common, we have Vince Thornton from the CYBSA. I'm Quinn Kelly, and Vince, we're just talking a little bit today about how you guys were able to get things back up and running and what that process has been like for you, because with all the regulations, I'm sure it was a very long process, but here you are, kids are back out on the ball field, and it was, I have to imagine, a many cooks in the kitchen type situation, but you guys got it done.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have a fully functioning active board for the CYBSA. We're very much involved with the day-to-day activities. We have board members that are coaches. We have board members that are part of the administrative side, but it's very much an active board. And so, when COVID-19 started to adjust the lifestyles and become embedded in our livelihoods back in March, we started the planning back at that point. We had already started our spring registration. Our annual opening day parade is usually at the end of April, very beginning of May. So we already had that in play, that was scheduled. And so when March 13th hit, when they shut down the schools, we really started to think about how the season was going to unfold. So we started the planning, back at the beginning of the pandemic.
So now, who came together? As I said, I'm sure this was a team effort, that you have the board, but I imagine required a lot of coordination with the town.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I wear a couple different hats on the board. One of my official titles is safety officer. I have to put together a safety plan that gets submitted to the Little League. And so part of that safety plan started to develop the COVID-19 plan. So there was a subset of the board that started to communicate with each other via Zoom and via email and text, starting to put the protocols in play. And we started working very closely with Pam Fahey from the health department and Bob Silvia, the fire chief, to organize our plan and to put together a safe arena for the kids to play.
So you have to be in constant communication, I'm sure, with parents too, and keep them updated on what's been going on, how you guys are working to get back on the field. So what has that process been, and what have you heard from parents in terms of either wants for safety protocol or just concerns that they may have?
Absolutely. There was very much a dialogue with the parents. We had an open questionnaire on our website. We actually opened up a Zoom call for all parents to participate, to voice their opinions, what they were comfortable with, what they weren't comfortable with, and we incorporated that in the protocols that we put in place for the kids to play.
You mentioned to me about 300 kids in the program altogether?
Yeah, I don't have the exact number, but between baseball and softball, there's probably well over 300 participants within the program.
So certainly with that high volume of people in a small town like this, the concern is that you have to make sure that nothing in terms of a spreading of the virus can happen here, because it could kind of quickly get through baseball and then to the wider town. So it's some extra pressure, I imagine, to really make sure that you got to lock things down.
Oh, absolutely. We didn't want to be put in the spotlight with Governor Baker, with a so-called microburst of COVID-19 issues going on. So, that was definitely on our radar. We didn't want to be the newsmaker in town. With the numbers that we've had in Cohasset, we've been a very much a safe hamlet, so to speak. And we definitely didn't want to have that change because of what we were doing on the baseball field or softball field.
So tell me a little bit about what it is that you're doing, what those steps ended up being that maybe parents aren't familiar with or kids have to learn as they get in, but what steps are being taken in-game?
Sure. So, first and foremost, every player comes to the field wearing a mask. They are that's incorporated in the game. They have to have their mask on their body. They may not need to wear the mask because a right fielder is pretty much isolated out in the outfield. Most of the infield is pretty much isolated. There is at times situations where a runner could come in contact with a player. But on the field of play, they don't necessarily have to wear their mask. But that having a mask on is imperative. When they come into the dugout, well, actually we don't have dugouts right now. I don't know if you can notice in the background there we have the dugouts and the bleachers cordoned off. We have a section on the sides of the left field and right field sidelines where the players are created an informal dugout, if you will. So the players have to come in and sit 6 feet or greater apart from each other, so that their gear, their personal gear, is separated from everybody else. Most players have their own equipment now. Of course, they have their own gloves, but many have their own helmets. Many have their own bats now, and the catcher actually uses his own equipment. So there's not shared equipment. If there is shared equipment, then it's sanitized between use. Baseballs are sanitized after every inning, so that they're using clean baseballs. And we have a lot of hand sanitizers throughout the fields. You'll see them at the major entrances to each field, but they're also incorporated in the dugout as well. So there's a lot of cleanliness going on.
Now, how are you able to make sure that everybody has their own equipment? I remember back in my days in Little League, it was fighting to see which helmet had the best padding to grab that one.
Well, we have quite a bit of equipment, from a league perspective. So part of our initial thoughts were that, okay, if a player needed to have a batting helmet, we have helmets that we can distribute. But to be honest, most players showed up, day one with their own equipment.
Makes your job easier.
Yeah, makes it a lot easier.
That's great. So I want to ask too, I know that this has been, I guess a big deal around the state. In terms of parents being able to come to the field and watch the game, are there limits on that?
Yeah, I mean, the state has, limitations for the number of people that can be on a playing surface. The playing surface is kind of a gray area, if you will. Inside it can be more defined. Out here in the field, you can have definitely greater separation. We do require groups when they show up to the field as spectators to have masks. Within a family unit, if they're close together, they don't have to have a mask. But we do actually ask everybody to wear masks when they're at the field.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Excellent. From your coaches, I just want to know what you're kind of hearing from them, because they're put in a position too where there's a lot of responsibility on them.
Yeah.
In game, they're the ones managing the dugouts. They're the ones, I'm sure, at the very little levels, making sure all the young kids are keeping their masks on and all of that. So what have you heard from your coaches in terms of how things have gone?
It was difficult at first. It's not something that's habitual.
Right.
Putting your mask on every time you come in close contact with another person. It's a learning process. At first I think it was a little tough, to be on the field and to play a game wearing a mask or have a mask on your body. But I think the players and coaches adapted. We sat down or had conversations with coaches before the season started, walking through all the protocols. We distributed the protocols to every coach. Most teams have 3 to 4 coaches, and we asked that maybe one of those coaches be the safety person and kind of monitor what's happening, make sure that the kids are wearing their masks if they're getting close proximity, make sure that they're cleaning the game balls in between usage. If there is a bat that is borrowed or being used by another player, that they're sanitized between usage. So the coaches, they all stepped up. They realized the issues, and they all stepped up to the issues at hand.
It speaks to the greater way in which Cohasset has really taken this seriously and as a town-wide effort to make sure that everybody's staying safe.
Very much so.
And I want to ask too, for the older levels, you guys did some pretty extensive work at the field over on Beechwood Street, correct?
Correct. So we've done a lot of work here at the Barnes Complex over the last couple of years. But this year we realized that the Barnes field, or the Beechwood field, over on the western part of town needed some effort. So we went to the town, offered them a gift, if you will, to help support the fields, and the complex over there is in fantastic shape.
I've seen some pictures. It looks great. Have you heard back from any players or anybody who's been on the surface? How's it playing?
Oh well, the players are just they're besides themselves on how much it's been improved from a pitcher's mound, from a home batter's box situation. It's night and day difference between where it was a year ago and where it is today. So the players are really excited to be out there. We put in brand new bases last week, and the kids were enamored when I first put them in.
I'm sure. Well, that's excellent. So, in undertaking this whole effort to get everything back up and going, that obviously requires some funding. And I know you guys have gone a long time without doing a fundraiser, but this past October you had the Grand Slam benefit.
Correct. So we have a registration fee as players come into the different components of the baseball and softball playing season. But last October we did a fundraiser called the Grand Slam event. We haven't had a fundraiser in probably well over 10 years, and it was hugely successful. The parents and the benefactors of the event were very, very supportive. We plan to do additional upgrades to the field. We've done some work over at Beechwood, but we still have a lot of work to do here at the Barnes Complex. We're planning on replacing the scoreboards. We've done a lot of infrastructure. We did a lot of work on the fields, the infields this past spring. We're really just trying to improve the fields to better the playing surface for the kids to play on.
Well, it's excellent. You guys work with so many of Cohasset's youth and are such a big part of this town. So to see the work that you guys are putting in and at the fields with the safety protocol, all of it, it's so encouraging, and you guys have certainly done a great job, and I'm sure the parents are very, very grateful.
Yep, as we say on the board, it's all for the kids.
There you go. All right, Vince Thornton, thank you very much for Cohasset Common.
Thank you.
Now let's take a look at Cohasset's Meals on Wheels program with Elder Affairs Director Nancy Lafauce.
Hi, this is Nancy Lafauce at Wilcott Commons, hoping to share with you some of the things we've been doing over the course of the last 6 months during the pandemic. We've been busy at work here, and I'm happy to have you guys come through and see a little bit about what we've been doing. At Wilcott Commons, the kitchen is bustling every day with volunteers packing daily Meals on Wheels for delivery to homebound seniors. In addition, the Cohasset Schools Food Service Department prepares breakfasts and lunches on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Our drivers, Gerard and Fred, pick them up and deliver them to senior residents. Recipients have complimented the egg dishes, muffins, and yogurt, sandwiches, pasta, and burgers prepared by the school kitchen staff. Since April, we have delivered these grab-and-go meals to over 40 households every week. On Fridays, a rotating group of volunteer celebrity chefs plus Cohasset Senior Concierge, powered by Launch, cook delicious meals such as marinated chicken thighs, bolognese, and chowder for delivery to seniors in their homes. Every other Friday, volunteers from St. Stephen's Parish generously make and deliver a hearty soup. As many as 60 seniors on a given week have received our Friday meals. During this challenging time, we'll provide meals to any senior or disabled adult in town who requests it. Some folks prefer a meal one day a week, and others receive all 4. We are flexible and adapt to the needs of our beloved consumers with a goal to help vulnerable residents reduce their visits to the supermarket during this pandemic. Thanks to the dedication of so many, we have been able to provide over 2,600 meals over the course of the last several months. This meal program is only one of the ways in which Cohasset Elder Affairs is available to help. We act as a liaison to the Cohasset Food Pantry. Our staff contacts eligible seniors to determine their nutrition needs. Dedicated food pantry volunteers purchase and bag the items for our Elder Affairs drivers to deliver. We are also offering transportation to critical needs medical appointments and essential one-on-one socially distanced outreach appointments. We are grateful to our devoted volunteers, as well as assistance from our churches, the Social Service League of Cohasset, the Cohasset Food Pantry, the Launch Team, and town officials, all of whom work so well together. This meal program is only one of the ways in which Cohasset Elder Affairs is available to help. Until we can welcome you through the doors at Wilcott Commons again, don't forget you may participate in our programs online or by phone using the Zoom platform. If we can help, please call us at 781-383-9112.
Thanks for joining us on this week's edition of Cohasset Common, and thanks to everyone who made this episode possible. With special thanks to Quinn Kelly for his interview with Vince Thornton. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.